What's up? What's up? A little late start tonight. Should have known that being today was the first day of practice. Should have known 7 o'clock was not doable. Should have known 7:30 wasn't doable. Um, I haven't even been here 5 minutes. 8 o'clock almost wasn't doable. Hope y'all had a marvelous Monday. Not very. Haven't even gotten all my thoughts together yet from what all I saw today. So I'll try to wing it best I can. As far as first day of spring practice, a lot of guys out. A lot of guys out. Turns out a lot of guys were playing hurt last year toward the end of the season, and had some procedures done to clean up some of that stuff. A lot of guys out. Guys like Peyton Page, Rook's out. I want to say Root maybe. I have to go back and look, but again, having to wing this, and Adam Randall's out. Stellato's still limited. He can do it. He can't have contact. He's limited. He's not out like in the yellow jersey. He's limited, so he'll be not allowed to have contact. Which Dabo talked about today. He's still only about 6 months removed from surgery, so he's not all the way back. To me, the biggest one though is Adam Randall. You definitely would have liked to have him for the spring. You're not going to have him. You're not going to have Bo Collins. Bo's still coming back from that shoulder. Adam actually had to have something cleaned up in his other knee. Didn't sound like it was an injury that he suffered, just something that he had been dealing with that they just decided to go ahead and clean up. I think Dabo described it as his knee was sticking on him, so they decided to go ahead and fix it. A lot of opportunities for some of those younger receivers with Randall out and Stellato out. So we'll see what happens over the next few days. The obviously Cade Klubnik's the starting quarterback. Hunter Helms was actually taking the number 2 reps today. Paul Tyson's out. He's got a thumb issue. He can't even throw a football. Bazina is third. We'll see how that shakes out over the next few weeks. Not sure how long, Tyson's out. Can't remember if Dabo said today or not. But got a chance to see Peter Woods, and he looks every bit as good as he has been made out to be. Man, he looks really good. I thought T.J. Parker looked the part. Tamarian Parker. Brennan Stool was the starting tight end. Say Genus was second. Josh Sapp third. Wade Woodaz was taking the ones at Sam. T.J. Dudley was getting work with the linebacker a lot. Some reps. Kobe McLeod was getting worked in some. Lot to digest. Let me see here. Should have did this before I hit the live button. Spent a lot of time watching Garrett Riley work with the quarterbacks. Heard him tell the quarterbacks today, or Klubnik specifically, that he was surprised he was picking up his lingo so quickly. That's got to be a good sign that they were running through drills smoothly. Klubnik talked a little bit about this after, about how this seems like a more simplified offense, a much more simplistic offense. Used an example saying that like last year they'd go into a game with 80 plays, and like this year maybe they'll only go into a game with 30 plays. Now those he didn't say those were exact numbers. He was just throwing those numbers out as an example. But that's a big difference. A lot less that the quarterback has to be responsible for in preparation. It keeps them looser, lets them just go play. Did get to see some good on good today. Not something we see a lot. They don't let us in to see a lot of that. They did some tempo, good on good. The first deep ball I saw get thrown was from Klubnik. He got picked off by Andrew Makuba, who was covering Cole Turner. And Makuba was talking some trash. No doubt he was definitely mugging him up. Might have been pass interference. Again, it's just practice, but it's good to see some good on good ones on ones. We don't get to see a whole lot of that. Obviously, the running backs were Shipley, Maffa, and Dominique Thomas was the third guy. Tristan Lee was your first team left tackle. Blake Miller was your first team right tackle. Trent Howard was playing at left guard. Mitchell Mays at right guard. And Putnam at center. Obviously, we know Parks and Marcus Tate are out for the spring. So a lot of those reserves are going to get work. Colin Sadler, Brian Tucker, Ryan Linthicum, Dietrich Penning, they all were getting second string reps. Will Shipley, Antonio Green were the top guys returning punts. Let's see what else I got here. Yeah, Root was in yellow. Peyton Page was in yellow. They'll be out all the spring. Xavier Thomas is limited after he had to put a bigger screw put in his foot. Sheridan Jones was in yellow. He's still getting back from his injury that he suffered at the end of last season. Greg Williams was actually taking the first string defensive end reps with Xavier Thomas out. Justin Mascol was on the other side. Cade Denoff was getting a lot of the second string reps. And Jaheim Lawson, man, he was a guy that I noticed today. He looks very different than he did when he got to Clemson. He was very thin for a defensive end, and that is no longer the case. He has been working on his body. He's been in the weight room, and it's obvious. Now, does that translate to the field? I have no idea. But he's at least been putting in the work. Khalil Barnes, freshman safety, was taking second team reps with the safeties. He was one of those freshmen that enrolled real early and got to take part in some of the Orange Bowl practices. Swanson taking over kicking duties. No, I do not expect Swanson to be taking over kicking duties. I fully expect that to be Robert Gunn. I imagine he's going to be kicking off and kicking field goals. That dude's got a massive leg. He's got a killer leg. That's your next place kicker right there. Yeah, Peter Woods absolutely is every bit as advertised. I thought TJ Parker, kind of stood out among those young guys. Again, I talked about Lawson just a minute ago. He's not a freshman, but didn't spend a whole lot of time over there today. I will tomorrow. went over there specifically to watch Woods. I thought Linthicum looked fine. Well, ask me again next week, and I'll tell you after I've got to watch a couple more practice. Hard to, I thought he looked solid last year, and he didn't play a lot. So, I mean, if he can, if you get that kid up to speed, you can always, then you gotta, if you need to, you can move Putnam back to guard if something happened. Man crush on P-Wood. Yeah, I have high expectations for Peter Woods. I've said it many times, he just reminds me of that Christian Wilkins, who not so much in the way he looks or the way he plays, just that he is so versatile. He's able to line up inside, he can line up outside. So with Clemson having some depth issues at defensive end, he's a guy that could get some early looks there. I absolutely expect he will. It's a shame Clemson had no room to go to the portal, because defensive end is a position they could have absolutely benefited from going to the portal and getting a guy. Baseball. Yeah, might take Eric Backus a little longer than we thought. Got to remember he is still working with what he was left. And I am of the opinion that while there is some talent on that pitching staff, I am not of the opinion that they got developed as well as they could have been developed over the past several years. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think some guys never progressed. Some guys actually regressed under the previous coaching staff. Pitchers I'm talking about. So that's something that's hamstringing this team right now. The injuries are hamstringing this team. You lose your Friday starter, Billy Barlow. I know Billy Barlow started Sunday, but he is nowhere near 100%. Might be a while before he starts again. Might be a while before we see him again. You don't have your closer. Willie Weiss has been out. He's pitched once all season. That really handcuffs what you can do, man. You're having to take guys out of your bullpen that you would be leaning on in those high leverage situations and use them as starters. And you don't even have your closer. And you're already having to get guys out of you. I mean, it's a mess right now. The offense has been pretty good for the most part. Still struggling picking up that hit when they need it at times. Really struggled Sunday, but a lot of that was due to pitching. Hicks came in and killed it. He was phenomenal. He was outstanding on a day when Mahoney didn't have his best stuff. And that's the prime example. Mahoney doesn't have his best stuff for South Carolina. They can go to the pen, bring in a guy like Hicks, and he pitches 5 innings, shuts it down. Clemson does not have that guy right now. If their starter isn't getting it done, they're screwed. Pretty much worked out. They used up their best pitching performances Friday night. And then had to make do with what they had the rest of the way. I still fully believe in that coaching staff. Maybe they're not quite as good as I thought they'd be this year. I fully expect they will get better as the season progresses and he starts figuring out where guys fit in best, because he's not got all that figured out yet, especially in the bullpen, what roles each guy, what roles suits each pitcher the best. He's still working on that. He's still figuring out the guys he can trust the most in the biggest spots. So there's still some kinks he's working out. Caden Grice is going to start tomorrow, so he'll be back tomorrow. We'll see what happens with him the rest of the way. The way Erik Backus talked after the game the other day, if you listen to what he said there, it kind of made it sound like Grice was only going to be used as a pitcher moving forward. I don't know if he meant it that way, but there is it kind of sounded that way at times. Or when he said it, it kind of sounded that way. So we'll see how that plays out. He did say he was not happy, not just with Grice, but some of the other guys and their body language on calls that don't go their way, arguing balls and strikes. I mean, let's face it, Caden drew a line in the dirt for the umpire his first at bat Saturday in Greenville. And he did it, and he was warned then. The umpire told him then, can't do that. I saw it from the press box. I saw the umpire talking to him. And then he comes back his last at bat, gets wrong up looking again, and does it again. And, that's the kind of stuff that Erik Backus is not going to go for. If they weren't in such a bind from a pitching standpoint, heck, he might not even be playing tomorrow. Yeah, well, I was not a big fan of the umpiring crew over the weekend. I did not think they were very good, and I thought the balls and strikes got worse each day. And it wasn't like they were just bad for Clemson; they were bad for both sides. The home plate umpires were terrible. Got a little bit worse each day. Didn't think the first base umpire was very good Saturday. Much appreciation. I appreciate that, man. I saw somebody said no bullpen. No, you definitely got bullpen issues when you having to take Tristan Smith out of the bullpen to put him into rotation this weekend. You don't have your closer. And if you had Billy Barlow healthy, Ryan Ammons healthy, you don't have to start Tristan Smith right now if you don't want to. If you do, you have one of those other guys you can put in the bullpen, Austin Gordon or whoever. But when you got so many injuries, including the biggest, probably your best bullpen pitcher, which is Willie Weiss, your bullpen's gonna suffer some games. You definitely need your starters to go longer than 4 innings. I think let's just say I think Backus might have a little bit more work to do with this team than he probably originally thought. Any more football questions? If not, we're going to cut this one short tonight. I got some work to do. Maybe we can do another one later in the week, Thursday or Friday, after we get to watch practice again tomorrow. We get to watch it again Wednesday. Then after that, back to normal. We know we just get to talk to players after. And just like last spring, they are letting us talk to every on-field assistant throughout the spring. So we'll get to talk to Garrett Riley, Wes Goodwin, Nick Eason, Tyler Grisham, CJ Spiller, all those guys, Lemansky Hall, all of them, Mike Reed, Mickey Kahn. So it'll be spread out throughout the spring. I think Riley's coming up pretty soon, though. maybe Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh, I was expecting more questions after the first day of spring practice. Not that I'm complaining. I got some work to do tonight. Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit about Peter Woods a minute ago. He was the freshman I mainly was looking for today, and yeah, he is every bit as advertised. Every bit as advertised. Oh yeah, we hadn't even touched on basketball, man. See, this is what happens when I don't have any time to prepare anything before I just jump on here. I didn't even make no notes at all. I usually at least have some bullet points written down so I make sure I don't forget to talk about a subject. But got to talk to Brad Brownell today, PJ Hall, Brevin Galloway, and Chase Hunter. For those who did not know, Alex Hemingway, I don't know why I always want to call him Jeff. Alex Hemingway had an emergency appendectomy early this morning, so he's out for the ACC tournament at a minimum. Brownell said he didn't know about anything beyond that yet. So no Hemingway. But listening to those guys talk, man, it is very apparent that they are frustrated with the fact that they are the third seed in the ACC tournament, and they are literally on the bubble. It is utterly ridiculous. It's never a 3 seed in the ACC has never been left out of the 64 team in the NCAA tournament in its history since it's gone to 64 teams or whatever. I get it. There's a couple of quad 4 losses, sure, but they've got 4 quad 1 wins. 3 of those are on the freaking road. You can't let 2 or 3 losses can't define your whole season, especially when 2 of those came in December. And late November, early December, whenever it was, when PJ Hall was 60%. It's one thing I can't stand about the net. I think the net's trash. Everybody knows me knows I think the net's trash. You beat a Notre Dame team, and the net's supposed to take offensive efficiency into account, right? You beat a Notre Dame team, you jump up on them and lead by about 20 the whole way, can't get more efficient than that, and you drop in the net. I mean, there's nothing logical about that. It makes no sense. And I know it's not the only tool used in the selection process, but it is a primary tool. It is the primary tool. So we'll see what they do when they get to Greensboro. Depending on your perspective, you kind of have to like the draw they got with playing the winner of Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and North Carolina State, because they are undefeated against those teams. And I know that conventional wisdom says you don't want to have to beat a team for a third straight time in the same season. I'm not sure that applies here. Clemson's beat North Carolina State like a draw on both times they played. They seem to have North Carolina State's not a team that shoots the ball very well. They got their big man, and Clemson has kind of figured out, let the big man do his thing, shut everybody else down, and you can beat those guys, and you can probably beat them soundly. And that's what Clemson's done twice this season. So I kind of like the draw they got, even if they have to play North Carolina State a third time, I'm not too worried about that. Well, I mean, I don't think they could have got a better one as the 3 seed. Thought Brownell kind of got gypped today in ACC Coach of the Year voting. I'm not saying he should have won it, but I thought he should have got more votes, more points. I think he got 7 points total and finished third in the voting. I don't have any issue with Jeff Capel winning that thing, what he's done at Pitt. But Pitt did finish 5th in the ACC, not first. And they were picked to finish dead last in the league, but Clemson was picked to finish 11th and finish 3rd. Clemson beat Pitt. No issue with Capel winning it, but I just thought Brownell deserved some more recognition there. We'll see what they do when they get to Greensboro, though. I'm probably going to need to win one there. Probably going to need to win one to get in, and that's a shame. It's a crying shame. Yeah, I can't tell you anything about throwing over the middle, man. We just get to watch a very short period of tempo when it comes to that, and the rest of us drills. So. He looked pretty. He's a very handsome man. Is that what you're asking me? Nah. Yeah, they were doing some different drills than what we've been accustomed to seeing since, under the other offense. The quarterbacks were doing some different things. Again, they did some tempo with good on good, which we hardly ever get to see. And it was competitive. The juices were flowing. It was competitive. So I think a lot of that's probably his influence. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I'm just my guess. But I touched on this at the top, and I spent most of my time watching him and the quarterbacks. But one thing that stuck out to me was him telling Cade Klubnik that he was surprised how fast he was picking up on his lingo, because he talks in a certain way, and not everybody grasps it so quickly. So that's a good sign. Klubnik, you could tell after practice when Klubnik came back to talk to us, man, he's excited. He likes so far. He likes what he has seen so far out of this offense and out of Garrett Riley. But yes, they need to get back to throwing over the middle, no doubt. It's been a lost art in recent years. We'll be back out there tomorrow, back out there Wednesday, allclemsontigers.com. We got observations from practice today, offensive, defensive. We'll have it again tomorrow and Wednesday. And everything else you need to know about the spring, check it out. And maybe we'll do another one of these later in the week instead of waiting until Monday. I'll let y'all know. Definitely not tomorrow. Definitely not Wednesday. It's too hard to do it after a practice. But maybe Thursday or Friday. But until next time, man, y'all take care.